Welcome to X to Interact.
X. X to interact.
X to interact.
You're listening to X to Interact.
Welcome to episode 38 of X to Interact. My name is Gaff, and I'm here with Sam, Steven, Eric, in a shiny new 2022 year, and with a brand new logo and layout. Shout out to Sam and Steven for workshopping the new aesthetic. Hope it gives a new, refreshing vibe for the new year, because in my opinion, it looks awesome. For our first episode of the new year, we're gonna definitively decide our own game of the year for 2021. Each of us, we're gonna run through our top 5 games that we played last year, obviously ending in our favorite game of all time for that year. But first, before we get to that, guys, what have we been playing over the holiday break?
I have been absolutely hooked on Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 because I beat Origins and then I started 2, and man, I love those games way more than I remember. I feel like I give a lot of credit to like Mass Effect being my favorite like RPG series, but holy shit, I love Dragon Age as well. Yeah, wow. I'm at like the very end of Dragon Age 2, so I'll be definitely moving on to Inquisition soon. Other than that, I think that might, trying to think if it's been a long time since our last episode, so I don't remember what else I've played since then. I think I jumped into Fall Guys for a night. That was wild.
Why?
because
What?
that game's great. And also they had Jack Skellington costumes. So I got this Jack Skellington Santa Claus costume. And I'm pumped.
Yeah, didn't they have an event where like all the crossover costumes came back or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I can't remember where I saw that. I forget.
Have.
I think maybe it was the Nintendo Indies event. I think where they showed that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good ass time, that game. It's wild every time I jump back in, because I jump back in like once every like 4 months, and there's a slew of new mini games that I see in the the scroll through wheel, and I just keep getting the fucking same ones over and over again, the fucking old ones. I don't understand it. My friend made a joke that they just make PNGs of fake levels that they don't actually make, that just go through the that you can see in the rotation but aren't ever gonna actually land on them. I think that could be true. Who knows? But yeah, other than that, I think that's it. I started Chicory. I really wish I would have been able to play that before
Today.
this episode, but it's all right. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to finish it, so I didn't get into it that far.
Go ahead.
Nah, Steven, I think you got a ton of things
go ahead. I don't know who's going ahead.
I do have a good amount. Just of things like that I've beaten and cleared out my backlog, which has really been nice to do. Yeah, I had yet to play the campaign or story mode for Mortal Kombat 11, and it came on Game Pass, so clearly I had to go and marathon it for one night and just beat it entirely. Which, that campaign, I really thought it was going to be shorter than it was. I don't know if I like it better than, say, maybe Injustice 2. It's...
I think Injustice 2 is miles better.
Yeah. However, it was a great time. It was lots of fun, lots of cool, nostalgic moments for some people that play Mortal Kombat. It was interesting to see Johnny Cage fight Johnny Cage and such. Yeah, that was kind of fun. And Scorpion was really cool. It was one of my favorites. The thing with Liu Kang, I don't really understand at the end.
At the very end?
Yeah. But I won't spoil that for a year or so old game. But I don't know, I thought it was fun.
And you only played the main story. You didn't play Annihilation or?
No, I didn't do any of the ultimate stuff.
Okay.
But I heard that the aftermath and so like that thing kind of closes up a lot of those story holes. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. I guess the Terminator's in that DLC. That's interesting.
Not in the story, don't worry.
Oh,
They
okay,
keep all
okay.
the fun crossover characters out of it.
That's good for continuity. I think oh, I beat the gunk. That was a ton of fun. It was honestly, so like I wouldn't say it's necessarily 100% chill game because it's not. There are a few minor enemy encounters and then some bosses, as any good Metroid of its salt would be. The concept itself though is super interesting because you're just a space janitor, right? You're sucking up, similar to if you played like Slime Rancher. You've got like a gun that
Oh.
just sucks up all the goo and um I don't know. You get upgrades after a certain amount of like collecting these parts, and it's the mechanic itself is unique because it when you actually catch on to something, the triggers in like the Xbox controller are really cool because it feels like you're grabbing onto something because it'll vibrate the second you whatever object goes in the sucker. I guess I don't know what it's called. And it's an
That's a weird phrase to put it.
yeah, it's an arm, right? It's she
You can
actually
feel the
has
suck.
a mining accident and has to replace her arm with this like mechanical thing, and then necessity breeds ingenuity, right? And so she comes up with upgrades, and you're working your way through this crazy planet, and the idea is like you're trying to get money to pay off your huge debt that you have, because the earth is gone, spoilers. So it was, and it's the dynamic between the two characters is really what kind of drives the plot forward. So Fiona Nova again, like you said
Woo!
earlier on, shout out, did some great work there. Yeah, I say like after a second it did kind of get plotting. Like if you're marathoning a Metroid, I feel like it maybe could get, I don't know, depends on who you are. It is definitely a more laid back game. I don't know. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like an 8. It was a pretty great game.
Not oh. That's
And there,
higher
look,
than
there's
I was expecting.
there's charming characters in there. It checks off all the boxes for me for that type of game. So, um, yeah, the
Even
gunk.
I know you like Metroidvanias. Have you played Fist Forged in Shadow Torch?
I
I
have
think is what
not. Yeah,
it
yeah.
stands for. It's the one with the bunny.
Yeah, I've
He's
heard
got a
of it.
robot fist.
Mm-hmm.
That game's fun. I haven't beat it.
I might
It's
have to
kind
check
of
it
hard,
out.
but
I also have to
yeah, it's
check
a
out
good one.
Metroid Dread, but my son owns my Switch, so until I get a new one, until I get a new one,
Fair enough.
I do want to play that game though, and I'll probably catch up on a lot of Nintendo this year.
You
I
played
think
Guardians though, right?
yeah, I played some more Guardians, and I
Mhm.
played some last night even. I fucking love that game, dude. I'm surprised I've not beaten it with how much I've played it because there's a lot of game there apparently, but
Yeah, it's
anytime I
fun.
play that game, it's never like, oh, I'm gonna play for like 30 minutes. It's like 3 or 4 hours I'm playing that thing at a time. Um, and I just like exploring and like going around the ship and talking to people. But I'll get into that later. I played a little bit of Elder Scrolls Online, is what I was gonna say. Finally,
Hey,
getting back into that, and I don't know, I really like that. I created a new character for Blackwood. I bought all the
bro.
I got all the ones caught up for the expansions, so I'm excited to jump
Nice.
back into that because I've been itching to play an MMO. And
You
with
picked the
that,
best one.
I was gonna say like that's the one I don't fall off of as easy, right?
Cue
Like,
Eric rolling his
I
eyes.
know, right? He says, of course. It's so hard for me, Eric, because the classic combat it bores me, right? Like that's the only thing. Like that's why I was so excited when Guild Wars 2 came out. It was like this new, fresh, like action combat
Bro.
stuff, and
The combat's better, and ESO is better than fucking combat in the mainline Elder Scrolls games. So
I agree. And also the writing is always great in that. So, I think
there's a lot of good storylines.
I'm sure I have more other games, but I'll pass the torch to Eric here and let him have some room.
What I played this past week. So I don't think last episode we didn't talk about what we played, but I think by then I completed the Halo Infinite campaign. And while I like the multiplayer a lot for Halo Infinite, the campaign, it kind of reinforces the fact that this opinion that I've had ever since we started Halo Explored, and that's that the Halo games, they really don't have great story in them, to be honest.
I disagree, but I was gonna talk more about the campaign in our top 5 because spoilers, it's on my top 5.
Yeah, we'll get there, but I enjoyed what they tried here. This kind of felt like so I do like how it's an open world. I do like how open the game is, but I kind of felt like it just didn't reach the potential just yet. I felt maybe later on when they do like expansions, maybe they're
Yeah.
probably gonna do that.
They could
That
fill
they
out a
can
lot of
refine it.
those.
Yeah, that they'll refine it a lot better because I think this is a good like building block on it because what they have there is pretty good, but I don't think it's enough just yet. And the story I kind of felt was just it was whatever. I do
I thought it
like the
was interesting.
weapon. The weapon I like her a lot. I didn't. I don't want to get into spoilers really, but like I don't like how the whole thing with Cortana wraps up. And that's really all I'm gonna say. But I am excited to play more of the campaign in the future. No, when they add like expansions or whatever, I'll play it for sure. Because Halo, the gunplay is great and everything. So there's that. Multiplayer wise, I've kind of fallen off on it. Multiplayer shooters, I really don't play much solo unless I'm playing with. I really enjoy more playing with friends. So there's that really.
When Forge comes out, Eric, we should do some cool stuff in that. That'll be.
Yeah, it's true. Cause I know like I don't remember exactly when they added it, but they actually finally added like separate playlists for, like Social Slayer and Fiesta and stuff like that. So that's good. A step in the right direction. I just feel like they need to do more work on the multiplayer, game mode wise. I think the base gameplay is there. It's just that they need to work more on like the features, basically.
Oh, more
Because
maps. That's all.
yeah, more maps, more game
Anti-cheat,
modes, anti-cheat, like you're saying
anti-cheat,
there. And I've heard that
anti-cheat.
Big Team Battle is like broken right now. I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know what's up with that. But
I couldn't
Yeah.
get on it last time I played.
so I
Well,
don't know what's going on with that. But
I can talk to that just a second. With the big team battle, you end up loading into half-made lobbies usually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that happened to me.
It's not great.
okay.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I had like 4 people on my team against a whole team, and it was
that's
like,
terrible.
what the fuck? And we made it last too long. I was like, why aren't we just losing and let them fucking win so we can get the fuck out of
The
here?
option to forfeit.
So yeah, so basically my honeymoon phase with Halo Infinite is over now. I'm starting to see more of the flaws and stuff in it in there. While it's still a great game, I do think there should have been more done with it, and I can't imagine how this game would have been released a year ago originally. So there are good stuff, but there is also some stuff that still needs work on it. So there's that. I've been playing more SMT5. I'm slowly getting towards that. It's not a game that I'm really pushing myself to like complete really because the story's just not there. It's honestly just like battle after battle, and eventually does get tedious and boring to me, honestly. So I'll just get to it whenever I get to it. To be honest, if I ever finish it, it's something that I guess I'll play whenever I want. I wish I could play it in handheld mode more, but the performance of that is just not great in handheld, to be honest. So it stopped me from playing in handheld. So there's that. I'm not gonna really go too much into that. And then for some stupid reason, I don't know why, I fucking downloaded Final Fantasy 13 on Game Pass, and I've been playing through that.
That's funny.
I don't know why the fuck I did it. I was like, I want to play 13 too, but because I played that before and I actually liked that game. But I was like, let me actually finish 13 since these games are enhanced on the new consoles or whatever.
13 is good.
It's okay.
It's better towards the latter half.
I've played
yeah.
it before on PlayStation Now up to Chapter 9's boss, and I couldn't get past the boss there. So now I'm at Chapter 9 now on Xbox. I haven't reached the boss just yet, but I've been, I guess, enjoying it a little more. The combat system, honestly.
I wish I was more active in the combat system.
Yeah, because honestly, anyone listens to this, I know 13 people are like love it or hate it now in Return to the Combat, but auto battle just basically does most of the work for you, to be honest. And I feel like I have no reason to interact with it other than changing like the tactics, basically. So I'm gonna try and finish that and see how it is. I do want to like finish it and like get like a final opinion on it, but honestly, at this point, I'm just like, I just want to play 13 too. I want to get to there, but I want to finish 13 so I can get like the whole story. So there's that, and that's basically it. Obviously more Final Fantasy 14. The raid series came out last week, so I'm just doing the raids every week for that. Nothing too big on that right now. They're just waiting for the next major patch for that, where they start the new story in that. So I don't remember exactly when that's coming out, but whenever that is, I'll talk more about it there. So that's all I've been playing.
My playing list is pretty short. Just a ton of Halo Infinite. I'm still playing it. I'm still playing it every day. I'm level 68 in the battle pass. I'm gold
Jesus
6 in
Christ.
ranked. I'm getting all the items in the
Mm.
new winter contingency event. That's awesome. I'm popping off every once in a while, and it's very gratifying. And I finished the campaign over the holiday break too, which I'll talk about when we go to our list of games later. After that, Pokemon. I finished the main story. I'm doing the post game. I'm rematching the gym leaders, and they're very, very hard. Like very hard.
Yeah, I remember seeing the leaks of like, because I looked into the leaks about the pre-release and whatever, and people were saying like, yeah, there's like post Elite Four gym rebattles, and they're a lot harder. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I haven't gone back to the game
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah.
I've made it to the. I'm going to Snow Point City from what I remember, but I just haven't gone back since.
It's fair. Otherwise, I tried to like hunt for shiny Pokemon the other day. It's a chore and it's something you gotta dedicate your time to. But I want to do it because I've never successfully done it before. I will do it. Um, and those are two games I've been playing. Unless you want to count Yu-Gi-Oh, I've been playing the actual card
Oh
game
yeah,
a
hey.
lot.
Yo,
But
have you seen the stuff for that Master Duel thing coming out
Master
yet?
Duel, yeah.
That
I mean,
looks cool.
I hope they don't fucking nickel and dime you for that game, because that's what kind of turned me off on Duel Links. Because
Konami, bro.
I love Duel Links, but like you have to put so much money into that game if you want to
mean-
actually be good, and it's really annoying.
It's like real life, dude. You gotta put a ton of
Yeah.
money
I know,
into
but like I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
wish they would. I was talking about it in our Discord chat a while ago. I just wish they made like a Yu-Gi-Oh RPG where like you start from basic ass cards and then you like play duels against the NPCs and you get better cards over time. And, like you work your way up. I want a game like that again.
That is fun.
And so I downloaded Yu-Gi-Oh Tag Force on my Vita, and like I haven't played much of it, but I was like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
this is what I want.
If you want a card-based RPG, Eric, just go back and play Chain of Memories. It's amazing.
Oh man.
Best Kingdom Hearts game out there.
Oh,
Well, we'll get there eventually if we plan to do that Kingdom Hearts
Jesus
playthrough.
Christ.
I'm skipping that shit.
I'll play it. I don't hate it as much as other people do. I like the PS2 version because you can
We'll
break
put
that
that-
game so much.
We'll put it in
that
the
shit
shorts,
on
Eric.
easy. And
See, no, I play every Kingdom Hearts game on the hardest difficulty. I'm like, I fucking love this.
fuck
Oh,
that. Oh
dude.
god. I don't play any game on the hardest difficulty.
So thank you everyone for sharing what you've been playing over the holiday break. But now it's time to get to the good stuff. What do each of us think is our game of the year for 2021? And I'm sure we all got multiple candidates, which is why we're saying our top 5.
Mhm.
Let's do, as usual, go in order. I decide that Steven will go first. What's your number 5 pick?
My number 5. Now, as anyone knows, when you're compiling a list of your children, it's very hard to pick favorites, right?
I wish I had children to relate.
Fun fact.
I don't.
There's only 2, and it's an equal tie. So, that's not how my game list is. Well, spoilers, they're all number 1. No, number 5, because I actually switched around the numbers 3 or 4 different times here on my list until I was happy with it. And I don't know if I'm still 100% happy with it, but here we go. The Artful Escape. And, and this one only is lower on this in terms of an actual video game, right? Because I understand it's more of like an interactive experience than a video game per se. Because the only thing that's there is you're holding one button to play your guitar, to shred, which is amazing to see and hear and interact with it, like some environmental stuff. But as a game, you're walking from left to right, basically, or right to left in some cases. Um, soundtrack is amazing in that game. The visuals, there were times where my mouth was hanging open and I didn't even realize it. Someone walked in on me and they're like, "Close your mouth," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And it doesn't happen to me very often for visuals. I'll say that. So, they're just the things they show in that game and the really positive reinforcement and messaging it has in that game. I just keep thinking about like what I just keep thinking about what that means in terms of myself and in terms of what we can show of ourselves going forward. It's basically self-acceptance, right? Because he deals with a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of like trying to live up to something that's not his preference, but even his peers pressure him, but he kind of just fights back against a lot of that. He does fail, which is a lot of why I think it's a relatable story, is like he does have pitfalls a lot throughout. So as far as like narrative goes, and like I don't know, I think this is the most well told and concise of the ones that I played, as far as like getting to the point, and doing it, I guess, respecting your time. Every second I spent in that game was just a joy. So if you like music, like rock music, and I guess kind of like space opera sort of things, it's definitely up your alley, I think. So
Yeah, that's a good game, Steven. I played it. That I guess I probably should. I think that was probably since the last podcast would have been in my what I've played. But yeah, that's I think there's a lot of moments in that game where I was like, holy shit, like this looks amazing. Because especially when you're like shredded on the guitar and the environment around you is just changing behind you.
Yeah.
There's some stuff like that, with like a lot of super colorful, vibrant lights and stuff like that. I actually thought it was a little too long, and that was like my main problem with it. I mean, it's pretty like it is a short game,
right?
But I thought I felt it started to drag on a little bit near the end.
Maybe one concert too much,
but
maybe.
Yeah. Because you're doing the same stuff over and over again at the concerts and stuff. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it as well.
Sam, what's your game? Number 5.
Well, I think Steven had something else to say.
I was going to ask you if you remember the recording booth. That was probably my favorite part, Sam, is what I was going to say. Where he's talking him through, and like it switches between his perception of what he's lying about and the reality, right? Like, and he catches on to him, right? The one spider guy, right? That you go and talk to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you're on like the talk show.
Yeah, the talk show, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah. That was probably the best part of the game. That was wild.
And then your number 5, sorry, I interrupted.
My number 5 is also an indie game. It is not Annapurna. It is a game that was robbed at the Game Awards for the first time Indie Award. It's Forgotten City. Man, there's just so much to say about this game, and I don't want to say a lot because if you say pretty much anything, it can ruin the experience for you, because the whole point of the game is just like figuring out what's going on. But there's just so many small details, and so you can tell there was so much like love put into this game. And it's just so interesting to like start to unravel what's going on and use the time loop to your advantage. Like I restarted the loop so many fucking times, and I got all the endings. And that the endings are what I think pushed this into my top 5, because there's a game, Deathloop, which is like my number 6. I'll just say that right now. But like the only reason that didn't jump over Forgotten City is because the ending of that game is garbage and did not land at all for me. But I think it's 4 endings of the Forgotten City. All 4 endings landed for me. I like them. They're all unique enough to keep it interesting. One was like absolutely batshit crazy, and I fucking loved it. But yeah, and obviously it's got the boost from being originally a Skyrim mod, so I got that love for it. Yeah, Forgotten City number 5.
Eric, which Final Fantasy is your number 5?
Which Final Fantasy is my number 5? Oh, let's see. Maybe Final Fantasy 8. I'm just kidding. Okay,
Oh, man.
so this list is like ever changing, to be honest, because even just now it's changing up some stuff. So I don't know if this is my definitive list, but at my number 5, I do have Tales of Arise, and so I never really played Tales before this game. I just really got into it because all the hype that it got earlier. Friend of the show, Frank Furter, he's like a big Tales fan apparently, and like I tried playing the demo and it turned me off a bit because it didn't really explain how the combat worked at all. But I just chalked it up to being a poor ass demo because it like kind of throws you in the middle of the game basically. And seeing all the hype it got and all the reviews that it made it look good, I decided to like basically dive in and try it out. And I think it was worthwhile. It was a pretty fun game. It's like an action RPG. It seems to me, from what I've heard, it's like a bigger Tales game because like all the other ones didn't really have as much of the budget this one did. And I had to say it was for my first Tales game, it was pretty good. The second half of the game, the story is kind of I wouldn't really say it's the best part. But, like the entire first half was pretty good. I liked some of the characters; they're pretty fun. The voice acting in this game is pretty good. Like there's some notable voice actors in there. Like the main character is Ray Chase, who also plays Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. The other character, Shion, she's Erica Limbeck, I believe, who plays Futaba in Persona 5.
Yep.
Jessie in Final Fantasy 7 Remake. And I know she's like in a whole bunch of other stuff too. So like she's like up and coming like voice actor. So like, I'm starting to hear her a lot more too. So
A lot in JRPGs, you hear her. So
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess that's my number 5 so far. I don't really have too much to say about it because like JRPG story is mostly the big part of those. So
but how is
don't
the
really
open
want to go
world
into
parts
that.
of those, Eric? Real quick, I want to.
So I wouldn't say it's open world, more like open areas, basically, where you're just going from area to area and they're like more open. Combat's pretty. I like the combat a lot. Some of it is I don't know how to explain it because like some of it I wish I really don't know how to explain this because each character basically has specializations in different stuff they can. Excuse me, in different stuff they can do. And so like your main character Alphen, he can like he has like a flaming sword he can use. He can use him to do like big damage to enemies. Shion, she's good at taking care of like flying stuff, etc., etc. And so like I like the way that each character has specializations, but I feel like at times like you kind of have to wait for a certain character to be off cooldown to attack him. Like I guess it's half and half on that. But when they're in battle, they are very chatty. Like there is a lot going on in battle, and they talk a lot, and they sometimes repeat the same stuff over and over again. So
You might
there's
hear
that.
that again on my list.
Oh boy, especially stuff that you already know. They're like, oh yeah, Shion could take care of flowers, and I'm like, yes, I know that. I've played this game for like 25 hours already. I know what she can do. You don't have to remind me. And then and then like bosses, I feel like after the first main area, the bosses especially are like HP sponges. It's like when you're in normal battles, you can like stagger the normal enemies and like do combos against them. Bosses, not so much. They really don't stagger that much. They're basically HP sponges, and it's really annoying because in normal battles I played on hard mode because the combat just felt too easy. But then when you go to bosses, it's just way too hard. So they like drop it down to normal. So it's like the balancing on that was a little weird. I didn't really enjoy that part, but it was still a great game nonetheless. And I'm interested to see the next Tales game because from what I've heard, I think it's been like 5 years since the last Tales game, and they usually put out Tales games a lot from what I've heard. So interested to see where they go from here now that this is like also like the most popular Tales game there is.
Thank you. My number 5 is Persona 5 Strikers because that's a quality ass game. Soundtrack bangs, presentation bangs. It's very consistent with the PlayStation game, except it's on a Switch, which is like pretty crazy when you think about it.
Well, I played on PlayStation. That
Okay. The characters, they still got so much heart. The little computer girl, I forget her name. It's been a while.
Sophia.
Sophia, yeah. Uh, her story like is it packs a punch, and I'm very surprised the quality of that of her writing. Um, Otherwise, it's just a fun time, and it's a miracle it runs on the Switch because there are all these particle effects and a bajillion enemies, and you're fighting all of them at the same time, and it's crazy. But your game still manages to, I mean, your Switch still manages to display it all. Um, and yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I just had a really, really good time playing it way back in like what February, and
Yeah, it was like February.
that's why it goes into my number 5. Steven, number 4.
Number 4. Okay. I'll try to keep this one a little bit shorter as I know my 5 was longer. Psychonauts 2 was my number 4. And it deserves a special place on this list, even though it was snubbed at a lot of different places.
Art style,
the boss encounters, the whole levels basically being based on like psyches and different I guess issues they were having with them, and then changing after the fact, right? Making just making incredible decisions to as far as like inner character writing and quips and things like that. I genuinely laughed at different parts in the game at the writing, and
it's funny, man.
Felt for him and his family, right? That was interesting to see more sides of that. Sorry, like a closer look at him and his actual family, which they're part of the circus, essentially like a roaming circus. Each have their own unique thing, and it was cool to see the relationship between all of them develop a little further too. So, the twists, never mind you, were really cool. I want to say I expected the twist, but I didn't. The big one towards the end. I'm not gonna go into spoilers. I wish we could at some point, right? For some of these, there's a lot of things to talk about in terms of what it means for, like, is it gonna be the last Psychonauts for probably for a while, I would say. Granted, this one took what, like 15, 16 years to come out, so
yeah, this was like originally that Kickstarted. It's something similar to it. I think I forgot the name of it. I think it was like Fig or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I'll say, like, the only thing that puts it to number 4 is that a lot of the things that it's doing in terms of like actual mechanics and things like that are similar to what we've seen. They are polished, but it's not. I think the strength of this relies on the art style and the level design for sure. And writing, I guess, but maybe the gameplay mechanics fall a little short for me. I do like some of the upgrades and some like how you would have to switch and things like that, but a lot of times I did kind of feel like it would get tedious during boss fights to try to switch to different things. In all the hecticness for some of them, especially the cooking one.
I love the cooking.
I love the fight itself, and I love like the actual level design, and that was probably one of my favorite ones where we're having to, like, you're on this game show and you're preparing food for these judges from different things, and all, I don't know, the food talks, and it was probably my favorite level for that game. This one's number 4, and it's on the list because I think in terms of like level design, it knocks everything else out of the park. Like, that's the strong suit of Psychonauts, and I really wish someone would have given it some kind of award that was. I mean, maybe we'll see more at like DICE or something, because there's a lot of cool stuff in terms of like developer specific that I hope they get. it just, again, it's sort of more of a niche thing, right? Double Fine often works in that space, and I wished, I was hoping that this would propel them a little more forward, and I think it has, but maybe not enough for some people.
The gameplay is what held it off of my list. I just don't like the way it feels, like the way the platforming feels. The cooking level was almost threw me over the edge because I was just getting so frustrated with some of the platforming.
The platforming, yeah.
Like it's still like it's definitely better than the first one, but like playing it immediately after the first one, I was like, wow, this doesn't like, it doesn't feel like the upgrade it should have been, I guess. For like I know it's a small studio, I understand that, but it's also been what, 15 years, you said, 20 years, something like that.
I believe like 16, but yeah, it's with the regards to the platforming, I don't think many games get 3D platforming correct.
No,
You know,
they don't. It's really hard.
Yeah. Mario Odyssey comes the closest as of late that I can think.
And even that, there's a lot of
the camera issues, and
yeah.
So it's difficult, but I do, like I said, it belongs on my top 5.
Sam, number 4.
Oh, my number 4 was also on my list. I don't know where. It was on my list during the halfway through the year episode and game of the year so far, that thing. It's Life is Strange True Colors.
Yeah.
I actually, me and my brother were hanging out in the basement a lot this past over the holidays since he was home for the holidays, and he was playing on his computer, and it just made me realize how much I really loved it. As I was sitting by there watching him go through it. I just easily Alex Chen is my favorite character from the Life is Strange series now. She's like trying to fit into this, trying to find a home because she's an orphan. She's always been trying to make people happy instead of like focusing on herself. You kind of go through that throughout this whole thing. And I know I said in the game of the year so far that I didn't think the landing or the ending landed as much as I wanted it to. I still think it wasn't as good as it could have been, but watching my brother play it again, I was like, wow, I liked it a lot. I think I liked it a lot more watching it a second time. But yeah, there's a few moments in this game where it's just like I like broke down. It's just a great game. It's a great experience. I recommend it to everyone, even if you don't like these types of games, because I think this is probably the best one of these types of games. It's the best Life is Strange game. Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised it's not higher in my list.
Yeah, it's only number 4.
Yeah, but there's 3 games that just absolutely blew me away this year. So,
all right,
and this is the 4th one that blew me away. I think the top 4 are like really solidified in my mind. I think once I get to 5 with the Forgotten City, it's a little like questionable, but yeah, absolutely loved it. And the side characters are great again. I think it was, I don't want to say it was Donut. I don't know. That Life is Strange series in general just keeps kicking ass with its side characters. I think it has some really good side characters for the main character to play off of, and the power is just super interesting. The power, I think this power is way more interesting than time travel, because like time travel is super overdone. And I mean the second one you had the Force, so
yeah.
not much said to be about that.
I need to
not
finish
much
the
to be
second
said
one
about
still,
that.
man.
It's good.
I'm hit or miss, bro.
That was my favorite ending, I will say. The second one had my favorite ending.
That might push me through, because I was like,
the series.
Where is this going after they got dropped off by the hitchhiker? Well,
yeah,
the guy in the car, basically. Yeah.
Oh wow, so you're only in like episode 2, probably.
Yeah. I just kind of fell off of it pretty hard, but.
Yeah,
Eric,
it
starts kind of slow.
Sorry.
Number 4. Well, a game that someone here already mentioned, and that person is Gaff at Persona 5 Strikers at number 4. I really enjoyed this game. I liked how when it was first announced as a Muso, I was like, a Persona Muso? What the fuck? I don't want this. But then I actually fucking played it, and holy shit, does not feel like a Muso at all. It feels more like just like an action adventure Persona game, to be honest. Like they incorporate so much of the Persona elements in this game that I did not feel like it was a Muso at all. Um, I enjoyed how we got to see the cast again in the story, like after the events of Persona 5. Even though it's a little weird because they don't mention the royal stuff, and that's a weird thing that Atlas does with games because they did the same thing with Persona 4, where Persona 4 Arena didn't mention any of the golden stuff, but then the sequel to that game, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, did mention it, so it's a little weird in the timeline of where this game places so far. So I don't know. I don't really much about that, but like I said, I enjoyed seeing the cast again. I enjoyed the gameplay. The gameplay was more Persona than Moose. So like I said, um, the characters are great. Like you said, Gaffs. Sophia is fucking amazing. Zenkichi, the police officer that
Oh, yeah.
accompanies you, he's fucking great as well. I also just like love seeing how the characters like kind of grew over time that we saw them from Persona 5. Yeah, I was about to say Persona 4 for some reason, but I also love how small spoilers they let Riju say fuck. Fucking love that part.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, because in Persona 5 they just have him. They don't have him ever voice the word fuck, and like in this game they did it. I was like, holy shit, they actually let him fucking did it. They actually let him say it, so there was a fun moment like that. Me being the person I am, I got the platinum for this game. Kind of the platinum kind of made me not enjoy the game as much as I did because it was a little grindy, that's for sure. But I was like, nah, I'm close. I'm gonna get this fucking platinum, so I did. But it is a pretty bullshit platinum. I am gonna say that's all. But I got it, and yeah, number 4. Enjoyed it. Waiting to see what's next for the Persona 5 cast. You know, maybe like one more game,
Yeah.
I assume, before Persona
Can't
6,
wait.
something like that.
Casino
Something like that.
Royale.
Casino Royale, yeah.
Persona
Yeah.
5 Casino Royale.
Yeah, there's that. Number 4 is Strikers.
My number 4 is Psychonauts 2 for all the reasons that Steven said when he said it was his number 4. Love that game. It's super funny. Made by people that just love video games. Again, I'll shout out to James and Elise Willems with their cameo as the rich couple that just wanted a baby.
Oh, okay.
And the way that little story pays off is like super hilarious. I think the gameplay is tight. I disagree with you guys. I really like the platforming and the abilities and what the upgrades do to them. Story. The writing of the characters themselves are I really like. The story is I'm a bit harder on it because I think the story for example, like you go on a quest and then to fix that quest, you go on another quest inside their mind. And so like the objective is like buried like 3 layers deep at times, and then I forget what's happening at the very top layer. Like I forget why we're even here in the first place until we're actually like arrive back. But otherwise I just had a real joy playing this game, and that's why it's my number 4.
I like the doppelganger that you have.
Oh yeah.
That's probably my
Yeah,
favorite
it's so
power.
funny.
And it was voiced by the same person who in voice was it Zim or Gur?
Gur, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was Gur from
Because
Invader Zim. Because Zim is
voices, Rasputin.
Rasputin, yeah. So it's
Great.
kind of funny to see the two play off each other again here, even though I can't get it in Invader Zim anymore.
Steven, number 3.
Number 3 is Halo Infinite. It hits. So it was this was the hard one. This was the hardest one between like 3, 2, and 1, right? This is really where it starts getting like a fist fight in my mind. Sheer playtime, I think I've played the most out of any of these games.
Oh,
Halo Infinite.
yeah.
um, by far. Multiplayer, like I still play multiplayer like almost every night, man. Almost every night.
And you don't
Yeah.
invite me, Jesus, man. All right.
Ranked with my brother. That's the thing, and that's probably why you don't. I mean, unless you want to play ranked, man, the invitation's
Sweat
open.
fest.
I don't care.
It is a sweat fest,
I
and
haven't even
it is
touched rank in that game
equal
yet.
parts enraging and elating because
Well, you have to touch it if you want to complete the challenges, right?
right. I'll say the battle pass I couldn't give a shit about, to be honest. Like, and I'm not sure that that's a unique opinion, but
au contraire.
I know, right? I just love playing the game, man. The gunplay. I haven't played gunplay like that. I was trying to decide in my head which one was better, Destiny 2 gunplay or this gunplay, and I don't know. I really don't know, and that's saying something because the kind of work they put in to make it just feel tight and everything feel like it should, and responsive. I don't know. The only thing I wish was some tuning on the guns as far as that aspect goes. I think some could be up, some could be down, but that's more of a live service game thing. That's not necessarily a knock to the actual gameplay itself. Some of the guns just feel too weak, some overpowered, and yeah, some just kind of weird, like the plasma carbine. I don't like that in multiplayer. I'll never go for that in multiplayer. However, that being said, multiplayer, even though it was the largest chunk of time I played on the game, I probably spent 30 to 40 maybe hours on campaign, right?
Really, that's a long time. Huh?
Well, I did a lot. I played on higher difficulty and I kind of suck. So I'm good at the multiplayer, but not so great at the campaign, which was kind of weird to me. But I played it on heroic, and I thought it was pretty damn difficult.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's
Yeah.
where I think it could use a little tuning as far as like, I don't know, kind of felt like I was playing legendary at times on previous Halo campaigns in heroic on this one, if that makes sense.
Those jackal snipers, bro.
Yeah. It was certain things like other times, like, yeah, I felt like I had some breathing room, but and maybe this is my fault because I didn't go after all the upgrades before doing a lot of the stuff and completing the campaign. So that's probably my bad. Like especially the dash. Apparently you can get invisible like when you fully upgrade the dash, so that would probably really help. And I didn't realize that until after the campaign when I beat it. So
yeah, it definitely helps for a certain boss fight in a tight room. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that one, I've never come that close to throwing my controller than in that fight with like Escharim, the second phase particularly, right?
Oh, I'm not talking about that one. No, I'm talking about
Oh, you're talking
I
about
don't want to.
the
I don't want to
other
get into
one,
spoilers,
the
but you
other
need
one,
the sonar for
right,
basically
Oh yeah.
as well.
The
Yeah.
other one that was interesting that I had to kind of cheese. Yeah, that one was fun. I thought it was a fun fight, even though the chieftain was bullshit. But
Yo, brute chiefs in this game are
Yeah.
so bullshit.
um,
They take so they're
And
not
this-
even fucking bosses, but they feel like bosses.
no, that's never to mind this to say the skulls. I'll say I want to go back and play this campaign multiple times, and that's a pretty damn high compliment for me. I usually don't like revisiting games, campaigns. So maybe that's kind of what Halo is, though, too. To be kind of fair in that aspect, Halo's always kind of been replayable in terms of campaign, in my mind at least.
Yeah, I feel like this campaign would probably work better with co-op because you can like
Yes.
feel it throughout the game
It-
that it's made for
you can-
co-op, and
yeah,
it's
you
not
can-
there.
It's got that like sandboxy almost Far Cry design for some of the places that you go in. Like you can approach it from multiple different areas, different equipment loadouts. I'm almost sure it was designed for co-op in mind, until they had to delay the feature. So, but story, I'll say it's one of the better ones, right? I think it's one of the better of the stories of Halo. Because and maybe that's less the actual what happens and more the writing and the inner character development that
Yeah.
happens. Because what happens, I'm not sure if I'm super excited in general about it. It's kind of whatever. Um, but I gave a shit about Master Chief and his humanity, right? It really, and I guess maybe that's what 343 did in 4, right? They really spoke more to the humanizing of the chief, and uh, I don't know. I really appreciated that they took the time to do that. I wish they would have given more time to the pilot, to be honest, because he's kind of like bait. He turns from this like defiant, scared person, which is normal because he wasn't a soldier, right? To like bait later on, which I guess sort of spoilers, but not really. Um, and it was just kind of that part of it was disappointing after that really high peak that you have with him on the hill. Um, and he just kind of breaks down. And I wonder if that's something that was put on the cutting floor, right? That there wasn't more to that, or more to that little character progression than would have been there had they had more time, I guess. I don't know. Who can say? I The highlights for me were the characters, the writing, and the set pieces. Just going from it was just fun to play it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking about like there was a couple mornings where I would hop on just for like 30 or so minutes before I go to work just to use the grappling hook and throw the freaking plasma cells at brutes, just because that was one of my favorite things to do. Plasma cells made some of the encounters not only manageable but fun, right? You
Yeah.
Some of the equipment is really take Halo, I think, to newer heights, honestly, for in terms of what you're doing in the game. And I think that's why it makes it for my list, number 3.
Sam,
Shout
what's
out
your
to
number 3? Oh, sorry.
quick, shout out to the grunts in this game, bro.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
They
I
have
didn't
the
even say
best
that. Yeah.
dialogue. So
Enemy
funny.
dialogue is 10 out of 10. Sam, number 3?
Speaking of dialogue, Guardians of the Galaxy has some of the best dialogue out there, and that's one of the reasons it's my number 3. I haven't laughed so hard at a damn game because of the writing. Like I laugh a lot, like because I do stupid shit in video games, but like because of like the actual writing of the game has not made me laugh as hard as this one. Probably a long, like I don't know if I've ever laughed this hard at a video game writing. Um, it's just so well done. The constant banter between the 5 characters is fantastic. Um, this is my Guardians of the Galaxy. I like it more. I like this rendition more than the movies. As much as I do love those movies, this game is fantastic. And I mean, it came out of nowhere. This game was announced this year, or well, technically last year, and then released last year, like 5 months later. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I had such a good time playing this game. There's so many like genuine character moments throughout. Um, I like care about each one of these characters, even Groot, even though he's just a tree. Um, I still think Drax is my favorite like voice performance of the year. Um, besides maybe Alex Chen from Life is Strange True Colors. Gamora, oh my god, Gamora is so much better in this game than she is in the movies. Um, what else? I can't. There's one moment in this game where I lost my shit, but I really don't want to spoil it. Fight a certain alien, and man, I was hype. I don't know if Steven's got there or not. Um, and the music, oh god, the music. Um, a nice mixture of like actual 80s music with also like an original like band, like they had a band make bunch of fake 80s music for this game.
That's actually
Said
good.
this on the podcast before, and it's like, it's good music. It fits right in with the it fits right in with the like licensed music that they have throughout. And like you have your, when you're on the ship, you have like a computer, or like a, I don't know. There's an interface where you can change the song.
Jukebox,
And so
basically.
yeah, jukebox. Jeez, that's the word I was trying to look for. Jesus. And you can change it to like any of the licensed songs, and you can change it to any of the original songs that were written, like the original rock songs. And yeah, man, the music just absolutely slaps. Sometimes I would just sit there and listen to a song while I was on the ship, and just like try not to like activate the next cutscene or something, just so I could listen to the rest of the song. As far as like combat goes, like I liked it. I liked the combat. I feel like a lot of people shit on the combat, but it was like fun. It was really fucking easy. The game was. I think I wish I would have played on a harder difficulty, but I just played on normal, and it was really easy. But yeah, I liked being able to like, you only control Star-Lord, which is fine because you can. It's like Mass Effect, where you can tell your companions to use their abilities.
Some of those are really
you
cool,
can,
man.
yeah, and you can kind of create different combos, like when you use different characters' abilities together. I think each character has 4 abilities, if I'm thinking correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
Or they might have 4 and then like an ultimate or something. I can't remember. But they have 4 or 5 abilities each. I like the combat. It obviously wasn't like, it doesn't feel the best combat wise, but whatever. I had a damn good time playing, fighting everything in the game. The costumes, there's so many, like, I still think Spider-Man does Spider-Man PS4 does the costumes probably the best out of any like superhero game. But this game I think is a close second when it comes to costumes. They're littered throughout. Give you a reason to kind of explore the levels to collect the costumes. And there's some that are really cool. There's a couple that I was like, whatever. I don't really feel any way about. Yeah, I absolutely had a blast playing it. And I think if it was a little more polished, it probably would have been up a spot or two, even into number 1. But it has that Square Enix love, where it's jank sometimes, but
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, speaking of, Eric, what's your next one?
What was
Is it
that?
Square
Was it
Enix?
my turn? My turn? No, it's Psychonauts 2 at number 3.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice.
We've already
Okay.
talked about this game a lot, but yeah, I saw like I kind of went through like a Psychonauts binge, I guess, this year. It wasn't really a binge, it's like a couple games, but played Psychonauts 1 on the Xbox. Played the VR game. It was like a 4-hour thing. It's not too long. Then played this, and I got all the achievements in this game and stuff. And just like you guys said, like all the writing, the is like pretty funny. I like I said, the jokes are funny. Like the one I always go back to is like you're talking to Raz's dad, and he's like trying to practice fire magic, and Raz like tells him like think of something hot, and then his dad's like, oh, like your mother, and I'm just like just
God
laughing
damn.
at that constantly. Like that one got a good laugh at me. The art style is great. Like the creativity of each like mind they do is like great. Like I'm still baffled how this game didn't win best art direction at the Game Awards. Like there's just like someone said on a podcast I was listening to, like they were on some drugs making this game because like some of those worlds are crazy. Like there's literally like one world that's like is psychedelic drugs basically.
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna really go into too much because like you guys already talked about it, but yeah, that's my number 3, Psychonauts 2. Great game.
Number 3, It Takes Two. Um, Most innovative game of all year. Um, for obvious reasons. A lot of people don't like the writing of this game. I disagree. I think the husband and wife, um, how their relationship is portrayed is very good. You feel like the rift between them and how they're slowly trying to learn how to be friends again and learn
Mhm.
how to love each other again. I really liked it. Um, a lot of people complain about a certain scene that happens in the middle where the characters apparently do something very awful and despicable. But I think the point of that scene is well comedic first of all,
True.
and because
I think we've
well,
talked about it before. You can say what it is.
okay, the elephant. People
Yeah.
think they're being monsters, but no, like they're trying to be human again, and they have to do this unfortunate thing. Plus, they can always buy her a new elephant in the end. Um,
Yeah.
People take it way too seriously.
That's what I
I
mean.
don't
Like
understand.
it was a concept, right? They're not killing an actual elephant. They're voodoo dolls basically. So I don't
I
know.
don't know. It's still one of the most fucked up things I've ever done. Like,
Absolutely,
Yeah, it makes you
absolutely.
feel terrible, but
And the ending, I've mentioned, it really, really got me like extremely close to crying. And where the characters end up in terms of their relationship to each other, I'm perfectly satisfied with it. And otherwise, gameplay, like everything about this game is super fun. It's always keeping you on the toes because they're changing the concepts
mm.
every level. I love it. Number 3, Steven, number 2.
I just want to give a quick shout out because that was my number 6. And it was only 6 because I didn't beat it, and I don't think I played enough of it to give like my serious opinion and weigh it against the other ones. So, um, that being said, uh, I think the mini games are some of the most like co-op fun I've had this year. I really like the mini games. Of course, I played them with my 10 and 7 year old, so like we're just giggling, laughing, trying to beat each other's scores, and like the whack-a-mole one, particularly of note, was just we spent like almost an hour just playing that damn mini game, trying to beat each other's scores. Yeah, um, the I'm gonna finish that game. I think probably I'll restart it honestly with like a pal, like a good friend of mine, to see if it hits different, right? Um, because when you're playing with a kid, it's like they don't understand a lot of the complex issues and concepts that are going on between the two characters. So, and it might be a little too close to home for for my boys, but um, that really it helps when a story has something that you can latch onto and something relatable. And I'm in a situation where that does apply. So the fact that I've spoiled the game for myself. Basically, I've seen a lot of the endings and stuff, or a lot of part of the ending, and um, people have spoken about it enough that I've heard a lot of the spoilers. So um, I wasn't. I think it's more about the experience from what I've played. So um, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that one because I really think it does belong on mine, at least a mention, and then everybody's list. In terms of like innovation in gameplay and how you can play with another person. Um, yeah. That being said, games I didn't finish. Guardians of the Galaxy was my second one. Um, this this was and it's hard to say. I really tried to put away my recency bias for this one. Um, but I couldn't ignore the fact that I spent on 3 different occasions more than 4 hours playing this in a play session, right? I couldn't put it down. Whereas other games where I'm like, I got to do other things. I've got adult shit to do. This game, I was like, I ran behind on laundry. All the it's like I'm playing. You know, I took I took a weekend and it was just all playing the game. Like it was, maybe 8. I want to say 10 to 12 hours for 2 days playing this game straight. Like that's how much I enjoyed it, and the writing and the actual characters are so much better than the movie portrayals, I think. Star Lord is maybe questionable, but again, it's just Chris Pratt in the movies, so like, what can I really say about that? Like,
I can debate with you guys about their portrayal all day.
it's
The
an
movie
interesting
specifically, but
conversation. Yeah.
we won't get into that.
Well,
Bro,
what do you?
Star-Lord in games way better than fucking
Did you?
Chris Pratt. Whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna. He's better, and he has more a complex personality versus the movie portrayal, in my opinion. But as far as like artistically, I don't know if I like the Star Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone else, I
But
prefer the
bro,
design of
that
over.
hair
I know.
and his jacket's sick. His jacket's so much better.
He
than the-
definitely is
than
like
the
a
movie.
metal head, right? Like a metal 80s head, like in
Yeah.
his fashion design and things like that. It's interesting because I could go back and forth between those two, but the other part of the cast, I definitely take this iteration over. I think it does the comics more justice in that sense for a lot of these other characters. I think the only one, and it's hard because I think you're not supposed to love Rocket Raccoon. I think he's supposed to be annoying, right?
Yeah.
And that was hard for me to wrestle with in terms of like, I'm supposed to enjoy all my company that I'm having with these characters, right? But he's supposed to be like a curmudgeon, basically. So shout out to that, right?
He's creating conflict within the group. He's
Yeah.
there for a purpose.
I think the character designs, Lady Hellbender was really cool. That whole planet.
Is she the one who looks like Cassandra from Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
Yes.
But she's blue. Yep.
Yeah, I like. As I first seen her in the trailer, I'm like, that is like 1-for-1 Cassandra.
Yeah, that's 100%. But she just has red hair and blue skin, or not blue skin, right?
Yeah, it's blue.
Yeah, okay.
Bluish gray, I guess.
That whole part then and the concept was well designed, I think. As far as like standout parts go, it's hard to pull one, right? I do think I think that the time period it's set in is really interesting too, because they'll make callbacks to certain things that you're like, I kind of know what they're talking about, but also unless you've read all the comics or unless you're deep into that lore, you're kind of just on the fringes of, well, this is kind of what's going on, but I don't know exactly the plot, and that kept me going as far as like exploration, right? So you pick up these little collectibles, which was one of my favorite things to do so far in the game. Is you pick it up, right? And then you put it down, and then someone will walk in, like Gamora, right? And you'll have this lengthy conversation with the different characters on the ship. And I haven't had something like that, at least that I gave a shit about, since probably Mass Effect 2. And that maybe that's a cheap way to look at the game and kind of, it's kind of like Mass Effect 2 in that sense, but
it is. It's very BioWare.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
why
you're onto something there.
I love it.
Like it's very old BioWare, right? Before this Andromeda, before all of that. So maybe that's kind of where I latched onto, but really the writing carried this game forward. Like you said, I laughed multiple times. I'm not finished. I think I'm maybe a little over halfway through the game, because I had to play other games like Halo Infinite when it came out, and I got sidetracked. And I came back and I'm like, wait, why did I wait so long to play this damn game again? Yesterday actually. So I can't wait to finish the game.
Yeah, you definitely haven't gotten to the best part then.
There's some crazy stuff going on with the plot. I'm super interested to see, and that's the most I can say about every game this year I've played. This is my favorite story so far. This is my like actual story wise. I'm most interested to see what happens next than any other game. So yeah, I think as far as like the press it got when it first was announced. People thought it would be rough. People thought, and it does have some rough edges. I ran into some where I couldn't continue. Like when you're doing the huddle, they would just sit there and they wouldn't say anything and they would just stare at you, and the music's playing in the background, so it was kind of funny. But I had to reload my last checkpoint, but
I never ran into anything like that. I just ran into like, you know, well, I didn't really run into like bugs really, just like janky movement.
It was
so like,
yeah, I was gonna say like Star-Lord's movement, right? It's a little bit stiff, I guess is maybe the right word.
Yeah.
When you
are you playing mouse and keyboard or controller?
Wait, guys, I think we should move on to number 2.
Yeah.
Next person.
But yeah, it's a great game, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sam, number 2.
My number 2 is It Take-Two. Man, what a game! What a fucking game. The level design is great. It's constantly changing. You don't get too bored of what you're doing because it's. I already said it's constantly changing, and just you have to work together, man. And it's so cool. All the platforming, having to like use your different tools and abilities. And you know, you never have the same ability. Each person has a different tool set, and that you have to use and work together.
My favorite was when it turned it into essentially Diablo or Minecraft dungeon.
Yes, that part was awesome when it turned into a fucking isometric RPG. Oh my god, that was fucking sick. Yeah, that was dope. And then I think this game, so with that, it reminded me like Kingdom Hearts 3 is constantly doing like trying to like add like gameplay elements and stuff throughout the game. But then it just like pops up a tutorial every time it like introduces something. It's really obnoxious when I'm like fucking 7/8 through the game and I'm getting a tutorial like how to play the game. Like, it's fuck off. Like, I should already know how to do everything in the game. Like, I shouldn't be. I don't need a pop up. So like, and this game does that so well, where it's like introducing new things, but it's all you don't need a tutorial because it all like kinetically works the same, like within the system of the game. The mini games, man, fuck those mini games. My friend kicked my ass at like every single fucking one. I think I beat him in one mini game, and I don't even remember which one it was because I think he beat me first, and then we played it again, and I beat him. Yeah, I sucked at those mini games. But yeah, I liked the writing as well. But I really wasn't in it for that. I was in it for the gameplay. I think from a gameplay perspective, this game is super tight and just super innovative. Really fun. Really, really fun.
Eric, number 2.
Number 2, the only Nintendo game on my list, not my list, but my top 5, Metroid motherfucking Dread.
Woo!
If you told me like last year that Nintendo would put out a 2D game for $60, it'd be a hit, I'd be like, you're crazy. But I was wrong. This game's fucking great. I've only did one playthrough. I want to go back and play it again, but there's just so much to do right now. And this game just got me even more hyped for fucking Metroid Prime 4, to be honest, because like I fucking love how this game fucking plays. Like, it's so smooth, it's so fast paced. I love how just Samus moves throughout the entire game. Like, she's so powerful yet not slow and bulky. Like, I don't want to say like Master Chief, but like kind of like Master Chief, because like even though he has a grappling hook, there's still like he has like a little like weight onto him. You know what I mean? Samus is just like agile and just like can like move circles around you while just kicking your ass, and I fucking love it. The music in this game not so memorable, to be honest, but like just the fucking I loved how I love how there's how this game is how am I gonna fucking explain this? I love how this game is fairly difficult, but in a fair way, which is why I say fairly. Like at times you will get your ass kicked, but like when you get it down, like when you get the pattern down, you know what to do. It clicks, and you're like, okay, now I'm getting the hang of this. And like that final boss, oh my god, took me a couple of attempts to do it, but when you get it down, it feels so fucking satisfying. It's so great. Like if you haven't played this game, you gotta fucking play this game. This game is fucking great. And I can't believe that fucking 2D Metroid is back. I just want more. I want more Metroid now, man. Like, Nintendo needs to put out that Prime trilogy this year. I need a fucking trailer for Metroid Prime 4 again. This game was fucking great.
One day we'll get it.
One day
A
we'll
trailer
get it.
or anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
I need more Metroid. Like, I don't understand how this series went like appreciated for this long, man. Like, Metroid usually doesn't sell well, and like that's a big crime.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm like interested to see like what the sales are for this game when Nintendo does their financials, because it had to sell like at least 3 million, right? It has to. I hope so.
I hope so.
I need more Metroid. This game's so fucking
And
good.
then hopefully they can put the trilogy, the Metro Prime trilogy on Switch.
Yo, honestly,
right?
please, Nintendo,
Right.
please.
My number 2 is Forza Horizon 5 because it is the most video gamey ass video game of all time, and I love it for it. It's pure dopamine, and even though I haven't played it since like end of November because I had to play Pokemon and Halo, like I can't understate just how much fun Forza is. It's the most beautiful game of the last generation, in my opinion. In terms, if you're looking for photorealism, then go no further than Forza. Cars, I like cars. I'm a very amateur car enthusiast, but wait, that's an oxymoron. I'm an amateur car liker.
Fan, you're a fan. How about that?
Yeah, God. So seeing cars I think are cool and being able to drive them when I'll never drive them in real life. That's awesome. Xbox, thank you for continuing this game, and I can't wait for what Playground does next. Steven,
Neither can I.
Game of
'cause
the year.
Fable.
My game
Yeah,
of the
Fable.
year. I want.
Wait, no, whoa. We're not doing honorable mentions or nothing. Not gonna put.
I was
like,
about to say, Forza Horizon falls
Oh, okay.
on my highest of honorable mentions. I will say.
All right.
But for all the same reasons you said, it's just fun, and I don't like driving games, so they continue that, and it's polished, and Mexico is great. So, my game of the year. Yeah, this. I don't know.
What takes it?
It's Death's Door. It's Death's Door.
That's whoa. Okay. Yeah.
I keep thinking about this game. Anytime I'm playing some other game, it's a little bit of Zelda bias, so I'll say that. Zelda being my favorite franchise, I think kind of helps it a little bit. And I haven't had a top-down, I guess, semi-isometric Link to the Past sort of style game in a while since A Link Between Worlds. And it filled that spot at the right time. It came out at the right time. The music is beautiful. It hits all the right notes at the right time. It makes you feel epic and spooky at times and sad at times. And I don't know. The game made me feel for a crow, which I didn't know I could do. And a pothead, which I would like. He offers you soup, which is one of my favorite video game moments this year. Like, from his own head, he pulls a ladle out, scoops it out of his head, and offers you soup. I was like, okay, this is something special, this game. The boss encounters, I want to call out the frog fight. The Frog King, I guess. So clever. Just tough enough, right? To where you're like, okay, I know I can do this. This was my fault. I'm going forward. Kind of like that Dark Souls thing where you sort of get that itch to go back and beat it, even though it's kicking your ass a little bit. Each area feels like great, like cool and different from the last one. The controls were tight. The combat was tight. I had a dream about this game outside of playing the damn game.
Wow.
And it didn't overstay its welcome. I'll say that. Out of all the games this year, I think this one, I wanted more of it, but I felt like it accomplished what it needed to in the time that I had with it. So, Never mind the 100%, which I will go and do because I just love the game and how it plays. But yeah, Death's Door is my game of the year for last year, without a doubt.
Sam, honorable mentions, and then your game of the year.
Well, I have one game that I want to shout out as an honorable mention, and that's fucking Scarlet Nexus. Man, that game is fucking
No, wow.
wild. Absolutely wild. It doesn't give a fuck that it's wild. It is great. The combat is really, really fun. I will say that. If you're looking just for a game with a great combat system, Scarlet Nexus, baby. If you're looking for a game that has coherent and easy to follow writing, don't play this one. Maybe play Kingdom Hearts, because I think that makes more sense than this game at some points.
Yikes. Okay.
The first Kingdom Hearts, all right. That one's a little easier to follow. Yeah, that's really the only one I want to shout out because we've already talked about Psychonauts. Obviously, I like Ratchet and Clank a lot. Oh, and Hot Wheels Unleashed. Fuck yeah!
Right.
Had to be
Just
said.
just the fact that that game exists, I'm just happy. But my number one is also Death's Door. Oh my god, I had such a blast playing this game. Everything Steven said is correct. The Frog King fight is, yeah, I think it's my favorite boss in the game. It's just really creative. There's only one boss in the game which I was just like, this is fucking nonsense, and that's the abominable snowman. I
Oh
know that fight was
god, yeah.
complete bullshit, made no sense. I don't even know how I beat it. I felt like all the other ones had a strategy to them. I never figured out if there was a strategy to that
Did you
fight, and
pull off any of the
I
secret
was able to
ones,
beat
the
him.
secret techniques to beat the bosses?
Did I look him up? No.
No, did you pull off any of them? Like,
Oh, yeah, I did.
with the pot lady?
For
Yeah.
the pot lady and the frog king. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did both of those. I forgot about those. Yeah, that's also cool. There's like kind of ways that you get achievements if you do it too, which is cool. But yeah, snowman fight, bullshit. And yeah, art direction. Oh my god, there's one boss fight in this game which is all black and white, and it is amazing. And like the little side characters like Pothead, and when you meet Death,
Undertaker too.
No.
It's kind of cool. Like
The what?
the Undertaker, like the guy
Yes.
who tends to the graves. Yeah.
Yes, the grave digger or whatever his
Yeah.
name is. Yeah, he's great. All the little crows in your office, kind of being dicks to you a little bit, passive aggressive. Yeah, I can't say enough about this game. I have several of the songs on in my Spotify. I absolutely adore the music in this game. And yeah, I think I know I talked about last episode how much I like Link's Awakening, the remake, and man, this just scratched every itch there, and like, I think this is way better than Link's Awakening. Just from considering Link's Awakening's kind of old game, and you know, there's some moments where it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? There's not any in this game. It's pretty easy to figure out like where you're going for the most part. There's a couple spots you might get lost, but like, I don't think you'll be looking for a guide or anything.
No, I never had to, which was nice.
In this game. Yeah. And I never felt the need to look for a guide. It's like Link Awakening, I didn't look for a guide, but there were moments where I was like, I wish I didn't commit to not looking at a guide for this game. But this one, man, I think like a lot of people say this year was like kind of weak. There was no masterpieces or whatever. Like, I completely disagree. I think this is a 10 out of 10.
This year was
in
a
my
great year
perspective.
for games.
Yeah, I think this probably would have been my game of the year for the past. Oh, and maybe not last year. I was about to say, but then I forgot Final Fantasy VII Remake's a thing.
That was fast.
So But yeah, Death's Door choice 10 out of 10. Sam approved.
Eric, say your honorable mentions before you say the game that I think we're all gonna think you're gonna say.
Honorable mentions to Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Don't need to explain it. It's a
Hey.
trilogy of fucking great RPGs. There you go. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, that DLC, short but sweet. And call a shout out to that.
Still need to play that.
What? Oh, you still need to play
I
that.
said I still need to play that.
Near Replicant, remake of the original Near, great music. I think I would like Automata a little more than Replicant, just because Replicant, to get all the endings, it is a little repetitive, but there's that. I do want to call out Super Mario 3 World and Bowser's Fury, specifically the Bowser's Fury part, because that was fucking great. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next with the fucking the next 3D Mario game. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with it. But anyways, my number one game of the year is The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword HD. No, I'm just kidding. It's of course Final
Jesus.
Fantasy. Of
Damn.
course, it's fucking Endwalk, Final Fantasy 14 Endwalk. Like, if you know me, you know me, and I don't have to explain this again. Like, I'm not gonna really go much into it. It's the Avengers Endgame of Final Fantasy 14. Like, it's a whole build up of like 11 years of story being wrapped up in this one expansion. Like they and I say they do it pretty well. There are fucking hype moments. There are fucking moments to make you want to cry. I really don't have anything else to say. Like, you get so invested. Let me rephrase that. The benefit of this game being an MMO is that you get so, like, you spend so much time with these characters that you get invested, and that it pays off for sure at the end of this expansion. And it could be a little bit of turn off if you're trying to get in, because that's a lot of hours of gameplay. Like, I think I have like over, I believe the last time I checked, it was like over 700 hours of gameplay just the game alone. But that's not just story; that's other side stuff like the raids and stuff as well. But I would say like this is one of the best Final Fantasy stories in general. And maybe when the servers eventually go down one day, I hope they can make like an offline version and like streamline it, because this is a game that people have to experience. Like, yes, it takes a while because it is an MMO, and like there sure are a lot of like filler and padding and stuff. But like when the highs hit, they definitely hit, and I'm glad that I stuck with this game as long as I did, because it was definitely worth it in the end. And I'm excited to see like where they're gonna take the story now. Whenever that next major patch comes out this upcoming year, I wonder like if it's gonna be like a smaller scale story, or if they're gonna start building up a new 10-year long saga or whatever. So shout outs to them, to Yoshi P and his team at Square Enix, because they did a damn good job at this. And music too. Fucking music's fucking fantastic.
Awesome.
And then to end it off, my game of the year, or actually my honorable mentions, Super Mario Party, most amount of laughs I've ever had with my friends, all
Ugh.
year.
I forgot to mention that. I played that, got my ass kicked by my parents. Fuck that shit.
Oh my god!
Ah.
Every time someone uses the warp block, it's been me like 4 times out of like 6. It's not even funny. God
is that
damn.
is that a dishonorable mention for you, Sam?
It might be. I only played one game of it so far, and I got my ass kicked.
My shame mention. That's one I want to play,
Fucking
but I
last
didn't get
place,
it.
fucking
So
bullshit.
So my game of the year, to no one's surprise as well, Halo Infinite. And like Eric with Final Fantasy 14, I've talked about it ad nauseum. It's fun. Forza Horizon may be the most like polished video game I ever played this year, but Halo Infinite has given me the most joy and just like childish happiness all the year. Especially because I just finished the campaign. And the story for me is number 2.
oh,
But behind Halo 4. If if the actual plot structure was
Right.
much stronger, then it'd be number 1. But what carries this game on its back is the relationship between Chief, Weapon, and I am including the pilot in as a trio. The roller coaster that these 3 go through in terms of how they feel about each other is incredible, and Chief is given the most characterization, or as much characterization as he's ever been, rival with Halo 4. Yes, Steven?
I'd like to say that the weapon is a very well-rounded character, and I appreciated the sass that she gave to Chief. When it was definitely justified to do so. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, the weapon is like the standout for me in this game. I fucking love the weapon. She's great.
And yeah, Chief, like it's no spoilers, but after events of Halo 5, like he's trying to trust the weapon, and he wants to be her ally and friend, but he doesn't know if he can ever do that again after what Cortana did. And
With good
I
reason.
feel yeah, absolutely. And I feel it in his voice acting, which is incredible considering you can't see his face. Um how the story ends, it's not the way I wanted it to end. Um and they're gonna use the excuse of this is a platform for the next 10 years, which is unfortunate.
It's a setup basically. It's
Oh
sequel.
yeah.
Well, sequel bait, but it's not. You know what I mean? DLC bait, I guess, is more better to say.
So remind me in a year or so, and then maybe we'll talk about the state of Halo Infinite again, and maybe I'm hoping a year from now it's going to be like even better than it is now. If it's not, I'm gonna be really sad because that
Yeah.
has squandered potential.
Agreed.
Yeah, this like I mentioned earlier, like this world feels like a building block. Like I feel like they're gonna add more onto it.
Please.
Show me what's happening with Blue Team, please.
Oh, fucking please, yeah.
Yeah.
Music, top notch. It's a team of composers, but one of them does music on Ori, and Ori is like 10 out of 10. So
Dude.
music, I can't gush enough about it.
Yeah. Fucking shout out to that multiplayer music. Like I fucking ever since I played the fucking the flights, I was like, this fucking soundtrack fucking slaps.
What about the sound effects? I really like the sound effects, like the when you collect an upgrade or when you unlock a fob.
Oh yeah.
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 Boss fights, hard as hell. Not to the point of me wanting to break my controller. Sorry, Steven, but they were indeed very challenging. They finally nailed boss fights after over a decade of fucking them up.
Mhm.
Well, if Halo can do it, maybe Assassin's Creed can do it one day. I doubt it.
Fuck, I hope so.
Hopefully. And as a lore person, like there are so many like tidbits here that just like that know how to get me, man. There's no spoilers because it's completely out of context, but they give a shot. They mention Samuel, who is the first Spartan to ever die in the Halo canon, and to me that just goes to show that the writers behind this game, like they care about Halo and the universe and all the history behind it. So that's part of why I got so much out of it. And one of Master Chief's final lines in the game, I predicted what he was gonna say, and then he said it, and I've never laughed harder out loud in a game out of like just pure joy. So Halo Infinite, yes, it is incredibly flawed. It is not perfect. There are many reasons why you may not like this game, but I love it, and that's why it's my number one.
All right. Nice.
And that wraps up our little not little at all, our recap of 2021. May 2022 bring tons of more games, tons of more joy, tons of more happiness, despite all the dumb stuff that's going on in the real world. Next week, I think we got a bunch of cool ideas coming up in the coming weeks. We're trying to do a fantasy critic. That'll be an episode. Predictions for what the year is going to bring us. That'll be another episode. And me personally, I kind of want to do a year in review for each of the big three as well. That's my own personal idea for an episode. But anyways, this has been episode 39. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube. Leave
Which
us a
now
like
has
and
shorts on YouTube.
shorts.
We're gonna
Eric put out a short.
One short so far, but yes.
Yeah, Eric put out a
Try to do
short
more of those.
surrounding the Final Fantasy 16 delay, and that was very good. Shout out to Eric. Thank you for following us through this our first year, and let's hope 2022 brings even more success. Until then, I've been Gaff with Steven, Sam, and Eric. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Hey guys, Happy New Year's.
See you next. I was gonna say